Good afternoon, everyone. It's time for another episode of Get to Know Her. I am so happy that you're here. As usual, we are here broadcasting live from the Glam Jewels studio in Burlington, Ontario. And I am decked out in one of my most favorite tops from Brenda Badome. It's this beautiful silky satin. And you know, if any of you remember the Max Webster song where Kim Mitchell sings, I think Kim Mitchell's singing that part about I see you there in your satin shirt. I have that as an earworm whenever I wear this. I love this top so much. So if you want to check out our sponsor, Brenda Badome, you can do that at brendabadome.com with 2 D's in Badome. And you must use the coupon code Get to Know Her because Brenda's giving us 22% off and her spring collection's out and it's getting warmer. So you need to stock up that wardrobe. And if you need jewels to match, of course, Glam Jewels is always here for you. Today, I thought I'd wear our beautiful little our beautiful 3 Little Wishes necklace, which is still available right up until the end of October. We are still helping Paul Robinson and his family, raising money for them. So this would be a wonderful Mother's Day gift, whatever you've got coming up, maybe an Easter gift. They are still on our website and still available. Now, guys, I can't wait for today because Sue Irvine is here and I'm going to introduce her to you in just a moment, but she is going to help us big time with something that's been on everybody's mind lately, and that is mental health. And we're going to talk about, things that we're going through. Sue's going to give us some great tips on, where do we kind of go from here during this time in the pandemic. And she's also going to give us a big picture look at what is happening right now out there that we may not be aware of. So let's talk about Sue. Sue is a registered practical nurse and lead educator at Omni Safety Solutions. In this position, Sue has developed an internship program for the Omni educators. These educators, in turn, educate people on how to help save a life. They educate and empower individuals to upgrade their knowledge and skills. Omni provides training for corporations and individuals in first aid, fire training, mental health first aid, and beyond. Sue is now working towards completing her mental health nursing certificate. She is an instructor for mental health first aid from the Mental Health Commission of Canada, both in class and virtually. I met Sue years ago in another lifetime. She has always been the type of woman to make people feel welcome, loved, and at ease. I am so not surprised she's in this line of work today. Everybody, let's get ready for Sue.
Hello.
Oh, I'm so happy you're here, Sue. This is the best.
Well, I am so happy to be here.
I already feel like all cozy and comforted by you.
Oh.
Right off the hop.
Oh. Well, I love that. And same with you. You're the same. You are.
And so just to give people some background, you and I met way back at Joelle's in Burlington because I was selling my jewelry collection to her.
Yeah.
And that was back in the olden days where Glam Jewels was kind of almost taking over a whole section of her beautiful store. And you were selling the jewels like crazy. And I still remember coming in to do a trunk show and you were like, "You're Monica." And it was like instant hugs and love. And I don't even think we said 2 words to each other, but we were so happy to meet. And
we were. And
yeah. Yes. Yeah. So I'm so excited to catch up with you now on what's happening in the world today, but we must start with what did little Sue want to be when she grew up?
Right. So when Sue was just Susie Q, my big dream back then was to be a vet for a lot of years. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to work with animals. I wanted to help animals. And I mean, all of our household pets, they probably got their annual physicals daily. It was annually, not yearly, it was daily in the house. I know, my poor animals, but they were all very healthy. So
Oh,
it worked. So yeah, that's what I wanted to do.
that's amazing. And so, what animals did you grow up with?
Oh boy,
What did you
what
have?
my parents would let in the door, really. I had obviously dogs, cats, turtles, budgie, a couple of ferrets, and then I had my horse. Yeah, so it was kind of whatever I could bring into that house. And God bless my mom and dad. They would, okay, well, let's find a spot. So,
Fantastic. And are you an only child, Sue, or?
I am. And
Oh,
I gotta say, a lot of people are like, oh, an only child. And I have to say, my parents did a really good job. They had me when they were older, right? So when I
mhm.
was little, I was always begging them for a brother and sister, not realizing that, like, we're lucky we got you.
Yeah.
Right? Wow, what do I know? 4. So, yeah. So I mean, I didn't get that till I was older. But I got to tell you, they certainly raised me in a very beautiful, loving home. It was just a great way. Friends, uh, and I think the thing that I really loved about the neighborhood that I grew up in is there was so many different cultures that grew up on the street, and we all kind of shared each other's holidays, so we learned about each other's culture and food, and it was really nice. Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, that's great. And so, what was your upbringing like, Sue? Like, what was it like having older parents?
I never,
Yeah.
I just didn't know the difference.
Yeah.
I didn't know the difference. They were, no, it was awesome. My growing up was great. I got my first job when I was 13 at a ranch up in King City at Kingside Road in Dufferin, and that's all houses now.
Wow.
And for like 7, 8 years, I took out trail rides. I worked for $5 a trail.
Wow.
I get $5 if I took out a trail, and I saved up all my money the first summer, and I got myself a horse at the end of the summer, and that's what I did. I was going to school, and then every day in the summer, it was up to that ranch and working.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, and then kind of as that progressed, just to kind of catch up to where I am now, I actually went into, my mom wanted me to go into nursing. It was funny. And, mom says that, so you go the other way, right? It was like,
Right.
oh, you think that's a good idea? Okay, I can't do that. So I actually went to Humber College, and I ended up taking their modeling and related careers, and met some very great friends there, and modeled for a while. And then met my first husband. I love that, met my first husband. And,
Yes.
and we had a huge, beautiful riding facility, and I ran that for a good decade or more. And then we divorced, and then life carries on, and met my dad's girls, and I've got my son and my girls, and then I finally made my way on my own now again, with my girls. They're young, and got myself back into nursing school.
Wow. And so what prompted the nursing school? Was it kind of like always in your head since your mom said it, or yeah?
Yeah. Well, when I was 34, I put an application into Sheridan College, because it was actually the last RN program they were running at a college level, because after that, the registered nursing program was a 2-year program, a college program, and then they took it to a 4-year university program. So then the RN college program then became the registered practical nurse program. And then so I got accepted to it, but I was pregnant, and I thought,
Okay.
I'm having my babies, right? So I left that, and then got accepted when I went back older.
Wow. Incredible. So the work that you're doing now, I mean, you know what I'm so fascinated by, because it was in your bio that you have your mental health first aid, and I have 2 friends who have it, and I remember when they got it, I was like, "What's that?"
Yeah.
Like what is that? I don't even, so I would love for you to explain to people what that is, because we can all do that, correct?
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Okay.
So I'm actually an instructor and a virtual facilitator for mental health first aid. So what happened was a few years ago. So we started our company, Omni Safety Solutions, and Bob and I are out there and we're doing a lot of first aid and fire training, and and my background for myself, I have mental health illness. I've been diagnosed with something called GAD. So that's general anxiety disorder. And in my younger years, not child years, but youth, like, 20, 30 years, I drank to self-medicate, right?
Mhm.
So I had that whole story. So I finally said to Bob one day, we gotta look at mental health because people are struggling. I know what I went through. I mean, I'm fortunate now. I've got more than a decade of sobriety, and things are good, and but it's that walk. And every one of us, and I believe this to my core, every one of us in our lifetime will either have a mental health kind of problem, which is not, you're not being diagnosed, you're just having some challenges, or mental health illness. Like, we're all going to come across something or someone. So what the mental health first aid does, so I went and actually took the course first and loved it. And then I was like, okay, I want to be an instructor. So that took us a couple of years to get that. And what this course does, it's kind of like a physical first aid course. It explains briefly the different types of illnesses like mood disorders, anxiety, psychosis, things like that. I'm going to cough, of course. Hold on.
Yeah, that's okay.
Sorry. And of course. And what that did is it teaches you how to handle somebody if they are in an overdose, if they're having a panic attack, if they're having an anxiety attack. So like emergency first aid. How do we help somebody?
Okay.
And that's what it does. Yeah.
Wow.
Do they just need to talk? Do we need to connect with someone? Or are they in some big trouble that this now needs to be a 911?
Wow. Okay. And I would love to know, Sue, if you're comfortable with sharing it, like with your own struggle and what you went through. What are some of the things that you learned where you maybe could have asked for support, or maybe not felt the pressure to put yourself in different situations? Like, after like having had this experience now on the other side of sobriety, have you come to this realization where you're like, oh my gosh, if only I had known this, if only this had been available to me then? Or if, like, is there anything like that where you can see now how you would have liked to have been supported during that time?
Here's a challenge with mental health and addiction.
Yeah.
This is the challenge.
Yeah.
Is the stigma. Stigma stops people from getting help. Because look at the stigma of a drunk woman, right? Like, she drinks all the time, right? Like,
yeah.
Right? And it's not good. So, there's also the fooling yourself. No, I haven't got a problem. I can manage this. So, addiction is a very complicated illness. It really, really is. And it's deceiving, it's cunning, it's baffling, and it's patient, and it waits for the right opportunity to come in. So when we're looking at mental health problems and addiction, these are chronic illnesses. These aren't things that you're fixing and then they're going to be okay. Like, hey, I cut my finger, let's stitch it up and let's go. This is like diabetes. This is like high blood pressure. Like, this is stuff like that we're now having to work with. I don't consider myself cured. I still have this illness, but I have got everything I need in place that I've learned over the years, that what helps me, like if I get triggered, if I feel like I want to have a drink. So for me, what I do, and I've learned to do this, is I play it forward. Okay, so let's say I have that drink. then what's going to happen? Well, I'm probably going to want another one. And then I'm probably going to want another one. And then I'm probably going to want another one. But that's not how the intent in my head I start off. I'm just going to have one. But because of my illness, I don't have that turn off switch.
Right.
Right? So as they say, one is too many and 1,000 isn't enough.
Yes, that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
But once you get going, so that was a struggle. My, they always say people have to hit a low or a bottom. I'm not proud of my bottom. My bottom came on the day where my beautiful 80-year-old parents, God bless them, came in and moved in with me for me to help look after them. And my 2 young girls, they were back and forth between me and their dads. But I happened to come home intoxicated, and my mom started calling me out on it. And in my drunkenness, I'm like, okay, well, you can leave. Horrible, horrible moment. So of course, the next morning I wake up and I realize what has happened. My dad, God bless him, 50 years of sobriety under his belt. So he knew, and we all just sat down and it was like, okay, it's time to get well. And that was it for me. Between that and my kids, it was, okay, we gotta get this together. So, it was a long road of work, and it still is, but it's good. It's good.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And it's so interesting because you're talking about general anxiety disorder. That is the mental illness. And then we also have the alcohol as the healer to help it, right? Like, but then it's like, do we label, would someone label you as an alcoholic in this situation, or is that something completely different?
No, I live with alcoholism.
Okay.
Right. And we also want, like, for me, there's something called new language. So I am not an alcoholic.
Right.
More than that. So I live with alcoholism.
Okay, that's so good. I'm so excited that we're talking like this, because this is what's happening now. Like, people are still saying, that person's an alcoholic, right? Like, and it sounds so bad. And that's why thank you, because I wanted to use it here to see
stigma, right? That drives the stigma. And people don't know, though, Monica. That's the thing.
Right.
People, and I don't look as people, they just don't know.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the same thing as we try not to say, oh my gosh, they committed suicide. Okay, or she's committed suicide, because up until the 70s in Canada, if you attempted to take your life and you survived it, you could have been criminally charged. So think about that. That's like you having a heart attack, surviving. It's like, okay, we're going to arrest you now.
Yeah, because you ate too much red meat.
Ate too much.
Yeah.
I've been going to jail a lot. So, right? And so now we say, oh, they died by suicide.
Right.
Right. So we have to lighten up the conversation. When I go in and train, right now in the first aid part that we train, one of the sections that they are bringing back in just the physical first aid, they do talk about some mental health emergencies. And as soon as I get to the topic of suicide in class, the whole mood changes.
Really?
And I stop everybody and I'm like, okay, wait, you got to make this okay to talk about. Because people don't understand it and they're afraid of it. Just like, in the 60s, we didn't understand about cancer. We were very afraid of it. It was like, she has the C word, right? Well, then brave people came forward, doctors, and they found this great stuff, and people were able to live better. And then in the 80s, it was AIDS, HIV. And nobody wanted to talk about that. And people were afraid. And brave souls came forward. And now we have these absolutely amazing antiviral drugs that people that are living with HIV, it gets to the point where it's almost indetectable in their systems.
Yeah, amazing.
Right? So here we are, mental health now.
Yeah.
And, prior to the pandemic, Canadians were struggling. Do you know every day 11 Canadians die by suicide? Our age group, 15 to 24, almost just over 20% of those deaths, they're dying by suicide. That's what they're dying from. Men aged 40 to 65, it's their 7th leading cause of death.
Mm-hmm. It's huge in men. Oh God, it's so heartbreaking.
Huge, right? So this is where, you know, we have to start making that conversation, start to make it okay. Like, start to make it okay, because I want it to be the same, that we can talk like HIV, we can talk about cancer. They're not great to talk about, but people understand them and they have their heads wrapped around them.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's mental health. We were in trouble prior to this pandemic. And on March 6th, 2021, the World Health Organization made a statement. And it said that the world must prepare for a few years of mass mental health trauma following this pandemic. And it's happened.
Yeah.
And they've already coined words with them. Languishing. Have you heard of languishing?
Yes.
So that means, you know, I had a client call me and say to me, I don't know what's going on with me. And we started talking about languishing. And that's exactly what was happening. It's like, you're not really depressed, but you're not feeling yourself either. You're just kind of going around. We're not flourishing, we're languishing, right? Yes. So that's where we're at. And then the other one is pangry. Have you heard that?
No.
Panger. Pandemic anger. So it's right? People are getting very, very angry at that because we're here. We're here.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the pandemic brain. What was that again? Where was that? What was I doing? Because we were all rattled, right? So, you know, this is where I truly believe we have to start supporting each other in this. Right now, there's only, you know, so many psychiatrists, so many psychologists. Like my psychologist myself, I love her. And I'm sure you probably know her. She's fantastic. Her name's Shannon Servos.
Okay.
And she is wonderful. And, you know, I just emailed her last week and said, hey, I just need to get in. And she's like, yeah, like end of April, Sue. So everybody's piled on right now. Mm-hmm. So I think that, you know, if we have a way of coming in and say to people, hey, we can help you. What do you do for yourself? Like, we forget that. We've stopped self-care for ourselves, a lot of us.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we are selfish. Well, I gotta be busy doing something for somebody else.
Exactly. And, you know, I'm so happy that we're talking about this big picture pandemic stuff, because it's so true. It's almost like before the pandemic, there was something hilarious going around Instagram the other day. It said, who's feeling me today? Does anybody not even remember who they were in 2019? I'm like, oh yeah, I feel that. But I do remember, like, up until that point, it was like, go as fast as you can, do what everybody else is doing. Like, even if you're a leader, I'm sorry, but we were like, okay, no, that's the best thing to do. I got to do that. I got to do that. But then the gift of the pandemic is, wait a second, I don't have to do anything. Like, I can create my own thing. So then now we're creating our own worlds at work, in our houses, everything. And now slowly the old world almost is like, I'm here, it's time to come back. And, you know, even for somebody like me, I'm an outgoing extroverted, that's how people would call me. And I'm like, no, thanks. I'm good. But I also feel like, shit, I need to get out there. Like I know. You know, it's like this pressure. And then, and also, Sue, I think there's like, because we haven't seen each other for so long, you know, there's also sort of a thing happening where people are feeling judged. It's like, if I don't get out there, what are my friends going to say? And if I don't participate, what, you know, that whole judgment thing is a struggle. And then you put that into the mix with either having a mental illness yourself or living with someone who does, which I do. And, you know, it's tough to navigate, because people don't understand mental illness, and I don't even understand enough about it. I'm learning so much. It's hard. Like, yeah,
It is.
it's a lot.
It is a
And
lot.
and I think the judgment thing also comes into play when you're either suffering yourself or you have someone else who is, and other people are like, well, what the hell's the problem? Like, come on, let's, and they don't mean it, but it happens.
Of course it does. Of course.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
maybe they might mean it because they don't understand mental health, and it's like, just shake it off and let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I've heard people say, I'm so sick and tired of mental health. Like, what people need to do is just handle their shit.
Yes.
And I'm like,
Oh,
no.
I love that.
No.
I do. I love that one. And
Yeah.
I have a member in my family that's their thinking, right? And I
Right.
just said, okay, so I said, so if your wife came home with a broken leg, are you just gonna tell her to handle it? Because it's the same thing. We
Yeah.
forget that this little nugget up here, right? It's like it's an organ, and it can malfunction, and things can happen.
And how dare we treat it as less than any other part of our body? It's the most important freaking part. I mean,
right? But we forget that because we think like, oh no, that's me. I can control those thoughts.
yeah.
Well, if your chemicals are imbalanced, like all those beautiful neurotransmitters, right, that are there so that signals can get sent beautifully. And if those are out of whack, your serotonin's low, your dopamine's low, and we're having some big problems there, we need some help. That's not just something that I can sit there and just say, get over it. It just doesn't work that way. And when you are saying that to people that are living with a mental health problem, maybe they don't even know what's going on yet. You are now taking them down to get sicker, because now they think, well, maybe I should be able to handle this. I should get over this.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't. You need some help. You need to seek professional help. You need to learn those self tools. You need to build support groups around you to help, because it looks different, right? And that's what people are afraid of. We go to a hospital, we get a cast. We go to a hospital, we get a Band-Aid. We go to get well with our mental health. We have to be part of the work. We have to be part of what we want in our circle. And sometimes you don't feel like doing that some days. So it's hard.
Yeah.
So, it is. It's hard. Some days I need to know I need to go talk to my psychotherapist. I don't feel like it, but you got to go, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So this is what you learn. And and the other thing that's a challenge too is, what might work for me may not work for the next person. So we've got to find out what's going to work for them and help them through that path. So
interesting. Much like education, like growing up, all of us kids, if we had teachers who actually understood us, God, we'd be rocket scientists by now. But
like, I'm dyslexic.
Yeah.
I remember sitting at my high school, grade 7, my junior high.
Yeah.
In this portable, and it's like, we're all dying in there.
Oh.
And I'm right in the middle of everybody, and I look up at the teacher, and it literally was Charlie Brown. Wah, 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 wah. And I remember just sitting there, and I could start feeling anxious, and I'm like, I'm so lost. I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, when I went back to nursing, I had my high school diploma, but I had to go back and do all my high school math again to get my marks up.
Oh God, good for you. I just ditched it. I was like, I can't do math after grade 9.
I had to go back and get it. So good old Jerry Allen in Burlington.
Yeah.
I was there for 2 years, upgrading my sciences and everything to get into nursing school.
Good for you. Holy smokes. And you probably had a great teacher. Yeah. Better than sitting in your class with,
God.
I
told them, I said, listen, I have anxiety, I'm dyslexic, I got this much, and I hate math. So good.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, I just want to say 98% in trigonometry. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, that's amazing. I know my mom's watching right now, and her eyes just popped out of her head when you said that, because we used to talk about trigonometry, and I was like, what is that? Because she had to take it in the 50s.
What are we ever using it for?
Yeah, what are we using that for?
Right.
Oh my God. So Sue, what advice would you give people who are feeling this pressure, like feeling judged, feeling like they're having difficulty, like just with getting their foot out the door and coveting their own space? Like we hear a lot about, creating boundaries, right? And setting boundaries with people, but I don't know if we all necessarily know what that means exactly. Do you have an opinion on that?
Oh yeah.
Oh, good.
Do
Yeah,
you have
girl.
an opinion? That's a funny. Yes, I do. I do. Funny you mentioned that. Yeah. So first of all, this is what I talk with participants when we're training. Take the pressure off yourself, first of all. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Kindness needs to start. You need to start to being kind with yourself. It's okay not to be okay. It is. Okay? You're struggling. You've recognized it. And it's a time to struggle. There's a lot going on. And there's people out there that can help you and offer assistance. There are distress center lines that are awesome. I was on one of those, mentoring and volunteering on the crisis suicide lines for those. And most people just want to talk. If you just need to talk to somebody, get yourself a time in the day. If you could do it every day, that's amazing. But we have to be realistic. Life just doesn't work always like that. So even if it's maybe 3 times a week, 20 minutes, start with 20 minutes just for yourself. Not a spouse, not a friend, not a child, not a family member, for you. And do something that you love for you. Because I'm going to tell you something. It's like a firefighter going into a burning building and he's got his air tank on. And he goes in and he can give one person some air and they get out. You give another person some air and they get out. Give another person, they get out. But what's happening to their air tank is they're depleting. So if they stay in there, they're not going to be able to help anybody else and they're going to get themselves in trouble. So they've got to go back and replenish to come back in to help the people they want to. And I always say to people, you cannot give what you do not have. You can't.
Right.
Right? Like you can't. And I don't know why we feel self-care is so selfish. You can't get what you don't have. If you want to be the best parent, if you want to be the best spouse, if you want to really give it your all, look after yourself. And that starts with self-care for something you love. The other thing is that, if you're one to journal, I'm not, but if you're one to journal, that's great at night to write your day down, how you felt about it. How did I feel about that? I also think we also need to learn to pick our battles and what's really important. Are we having a disagreement with someone because we're angry and ticked off and we just want to have a disagreement? And if we are having a disagreement with somebody, try to be respectful in that, because everybody's kind of like, as Shrek movie would say, they're a donkey on the edge.
Yeah.
Because it's like, get some time for yourself. And the other thing is rest or sleep. How much of us, we really like to see that 7 to 8 hours sleep, and how much of us are getting that? I'm going to say, not a lot of us, right?
It's true. Sleep is I'm still rocking out the old time zone. I'm like sleeping in.
I love it. Hold on to it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
It is, right? So we got to watch our sleep. We got to do something for ourselves. And, if you don't understand what depression is, if you don't understand what anxiety is, the signs, the symptoms, there's a lot of great resources out there. And Monica, I will send you some great resources we have so you can post them up after this. So I would love to do that. But you kind of have to be a little proactive, or maybe make a pact with a really great family member or whatever friend that you feel very close with, and they can help you to, okay, when are we reaching out today? Which group do you want to do with that? And treat it just like you would having to manage any other of your body part that was maybe having a challenge.
Right.
Right? And make sure that you've got that safe space to talk with someone too that is non-judgmental.
Yeah.
Because we love to judge.
Yeah. And you know, it's human to judge, right? That's what we do. Like, yeah.
Oh, look, Monica's smiling. She's not going to kill me today. Okay, good. Right? But if you came on like, I'd be like, oh, I'm judging you. What's wrong? Am I going to be okay here talking with you? So we do it just for our own safety.
Yeah.
But when we start having that talk, like Monica, you know it. We all have a story.
Yes.
There's not one of us out there that hasn't had some kind of challenge or story.
Mm-hmm.
And we forget that sometimes, right?
Yeah, I think so too. And also, you know, because we have all slowed down, we're not moving as fast. The other thing that's happening, which I hate because I'm so good at it, is overthinking and overanalyzing and catastrophizing and living in the what if world. Like, actually, my high school friends and I, we joke because that used to be our thing in high school. When it was fun, we'd be like, what if, like, you know, what if George Michael walked into our school dance right now? It was a good one. But the what if thing that we're doing today, not so good.
You got it. Is not so good.
Yeah.
And you know, as my one of my great mentors would say to me, you could what if yourself to death.
Mm-hmm.
You can.
And then life goes by. That's the other thing. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm like, but the other thing that just came to my head is that this what ifing and the catastrophizing and the overthinking, all of a sudden weeks have gone by and you're like, did I even enjoy myself? It's like there's this feeling of wanting to run away from yourself. Like, just back off of me so I can relax and enjoy.
Enjoy it, damn it.
Yeah. So that's what I love what you said about the 20 minutes. And especially if you can find something where you go into a zone. Like, for me, it's painting or like any kind of art. Yeah.
Like, don't think this whole, I'm going to do an hour. Because you know what?
Yeah.
If you're not doing something now, that's just, why does it start with 20? If it goes into an hour, winner, chicken dinner, right?
Yeah.
Like, you did it. But if it doesn't, oh, hey, I made that 20 minutes. And it's not too long, but it's enough to help reset.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the things that we can do for ourselves. So take time for yourself, for something you love, not anybody else, you love. Connect with people you trust and that love you for support. Get yourself educated on the different illnesses and conditions and the signs and the symptoms that are out there so that you understand what you're dealing with. And, you know, and then go take a mental health first aid course. Go get yourself educated. You know, Monica, this is something that we're in the middle of right now. Is up at, I'm on a beautiful farm in Cambridge. And we are just in the talks. I know you and I have talked about it a little bit. But we are just in the talks. We're changing things up a little bit because we have to get people's attention. So what we are in the start of the process here is not only to have, because it's an equine facility, is to not only have you know, some great people here riding, but to bring in some camps that involve the animals and to start educating people on mental health and how to look for the signs and symptoms. What are the signs and symptoms? And what do I do if I notice this? And to leave them with resources in case they get in trouble. And it's amazing. You know, I was teaching a first aid course actually here at the farm a while ago, and they were young girls in the class. One was 15, very quiet and very shy, and the other two were like, right? But you could see she was really uncomfortable with what was happening. So I happened to go out to my backyard because we know the power of animals, right?
Right. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. And I brought her, I brought her little Paprika. This isn't Paprika. This is Rebel. Rebel's very happy. And I brought her out to Rebel, and Rebel just sat on her lap I put a blanket on it so Rebel wouldn't poo on her. But we sat
Oh,
on her lap. So this is Rebel, and
hi.
honestly, hi baby, and she sat there with Rebel the whole, just like how Rebel's sitting with me right now. Yeah, I know, babes. And she just sat. She's stealing the show. So she sat with her the whole time on her lap, and she just sat there, and she just sat there and stroked her. I knew I'm seeing girl, and sat there and pet her and pet her. And honest to God, within 5 minutes, this kid was so outgoing and yeah, let's do this. And so, you know, when you can bring the magic of animals in, right? Yeah. All of a sudden, you know, they're calming people down. I know, and they're calming people down, and they're making it a safe place for them, like you said all the time. You know, and we just did another first aid class here yesterday, and at the end of it, we brought in one of the therapy horses.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And then everybody got to come out, feed them, and get pictures with them and spend time with them. And you can see the power of that. People use as a bridge to open up.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Do you think, not to take away from you, Rebel, I don't want to do that, but do you think that, close Rebel's ears?
Yeah, they're good.
Do you think that horses are like on the highest level of helping people like?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know horses can feel your emotions from 6 feet away?
Wow.
So when you approach them, they already know what mind frame you're in. They already know it, and they'll tell you. I can see it. If I see somebody walk up on a horse and a horse will start doing this and ears back, I'm like, they're not having a good day today.
Wow. Yeah. And so how does the horse respond if the person goes to them and like gives them a hug or something? Will they be standoffish because they're not all okay? Or are they more of a compassionate animal?
Depends where the person's at. If the person is just really struggling, they usually lean in. If the person is mad, fearful, angry, horses will back off.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah. So it's good. It tells you where you're at, because there's no, you know, we can fool ourselves where we're at. You know, I'm having a good day. Right? You can't fool the horses. You can't fool the horses. They know. And so, you know, this is where we're really starting to put together to do that, to encompass that, to bring people in for mental health first aid training. And then you come in and get to experience the animals and how it works. And it's, you know, a day out in the country, and it's, you know, there's these, we're opening up beautiful, you know, hope to get beautiful pine trails out there that we can take people hiking on, and, you know, all kinds of gardens and lavender gardens and sunflower gardens and day camp for kids and all sorts of stuff. But it's all going to be, they're going to be camps and courses for people to come to, but it's all going to be based mental health to help. Right. Not in that lecture way, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I really think it's important that if we could start with these younger generations, right, when they're 10, 11, 15, and just start to introduce it to them that, you know, let's help the next generation, because God knows what we're leaving them.
I know. And, you know, it's amazing because when I look at my friends with teens, I mean, I look to them for guidance on this stuff because they are way more open-minded than we ever were.
Absolutely.
Totally amazing.
We talk about it now. So they're growing up with us talking about it. Whereas we grew up.
No, you didn't talk about that stuff.
Didn't talk about
No. You know what? I feel so lucky. I have to tell you a story. So when my brother and I were in high school, one of his good friends came out, and this guy was at our house all the time and everything. And my parents, like, they were so liberal, but we never had any reason to discuss homosexuality. So it kind of didn't come up. And so one day at dinner, I still remember my brother and I like preparing ourselves to sit my parents down and tell them, and how are we going to break the news that, you know, this friend of ours is gay. And my dad said, well, his response was, well, you didn't think we thought he was straight, did you? And then we were like, so that's okay. And he goes, for God's sakes, Monica, homosexuality's been around just as long as heterosexuality. There's nothing wrong with it. It's why it's not even something we need to discuss. There's nothing here. And I was like, oh my God. And it was so awesome. Like that was like 1985, 6. I don't know.
That was big for your dad. Like how awesome that that's, you know.
And same with like, there was no racism in our house, none of that crap. And I can't now when I'm faced with that, because I don't know, Sue, it's weird. It's like all these things are coming up more now than they did before. And yeah, you want to be compassionate but I find it hard to be compassionate towards the people who are resisting on these topics and not embracing humanity. I don't know. It's so hard.
It is. It is hard. It is. And I'll tell you this experience I had. I walked into, it was an automotive plant that I was going in to do some mental health training in for their supervisors. And I walked in, and one of the participants, and I knew this participant well because I had trained them before in first aid and lots of different things. And they came up to me privately and they said, I've been voluntold, and I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care if somebody is in front of me overdosing and dead. I'm walking over them because they are a piece of dirt on the earth. And
God.
I went, huh. I said, okay. I said, I have 2 conditions for you to be here in this class. And if you don't meet them, you're going to be leaving. And she said, okay.
Oh, a woman. See, I judged. I was like, what guy said that? That's terrible.
I do this because we're judging already, right?
Yeah.
So she said to me, and that's why I do it. I tell the story and then I drop a sheet because everybody's thinking guy all the time, right?
Yeah.
And I said, this is what I need you to do for me. I need you, 1, to keep an open mind. And number 2, I need nothing foul, like what just came out of your mouth, to happen again. She looks at me. And she said, okay. I said, deal? I said, because if you're making statements like that in here, I'm not, like, this is private and you can talk to me. Yeah. So I want to know where you're at, because I can't help you if I don't know where you're at. I need to meet you where you're at, right? Like, if I don't know where you're at, I'm not going to be able to offer some guidance. So at the end of the course, after we talked about addiction, and like, Monica, people don't wake up one day and go, wow, you know, today I think I want to be a drug addict because that sounds amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my life. That's what I want to do. But that's not how it works. No. Whether they're having family issues, maybe they got a work-related accident and, you know, they had some opioids for their pain and now the doctors cut them off. They're not even using them to get high. It's just so that they can get this pain and feel like they're not dying. So maybe they go borrow some a friend. And then that runs out. So now I'm going to the streets. Well, the streets, you know, maybe I can get some real drugs they stole, but that's a lot of money. So maybe I'll go for the cheaper stuff. Yeah. And then it starts, right? And then it starts. So it's a complicated illness. And I think that that's what people need to remember. So I said to her, at the end of the class, of course, we go through all of this, and she comes up to me at the end of the class and she's in tears. She said, I had no idea. I had none.
Wow.
And we hugged, and she said to me, thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. And so when I get people that come up with that type of energy, let's say, I just try to, like, first I got to know if they're open, because if they're not, it doesn't matter what's going to come out of my mouth. It's just not their moment to be ready for the information. So then it's like, okay, well, I'm sorry, I can't help you, right? If they're ready and they're open, there's lots of good information that we can educate people with, so they understand to be kind to everybody and each other, because we haven't got a lot of that right now.
That's right.
Right? So that's what these camps and these programs are going to intend to do. They're going to, you know, we've got a lot of corporate people taking them now to help people in the workplace. That's where we spend a lot of our time. And if we can educate people to help somebody in a panic attack, an anxiety attack, an overdose, when they're delusional or hallucinating. We can empower people. We take down the stigma. And one step at a time, we're able to get people to recognize that, yeah, people are like everybody else, just a different illness. And it's all out there. And we really got to look after ourselves. We do.
Yeah. That's amazing. And Sue, I can't believe how fast the time goes, because I could talk to you forever, but I want to talk, because one of the things that you had written in your notes about things you wanted to cover, you were saying that we actually have like an opioid problem in Canada. And, so that's kind of news to me. I didn't understand the scale of that.
Huge.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. Okay. So an opioid, what's an opioid? Very quickly. Okay. So we have all these beautiful pain receptors in our body, right? So opioids, fentanyl, carfentanil, codeine, heroin, morphine, hydromorphine, oxy, all designed, right? So what they do, they come into the body and they wrap themselves around the pain receptors. So now when the pain signal comes, it can't register because the opioids blocked it. That's called the opioid effect. Mm-hmm. When you consume opioids, they have a very... Okay, they just calm you right down. But one of the challenges is they depress our breathing, right? So when I was in the hospitals, if you were on the post-op side of surgery, as patients came through, your one thing was to make sure, are they breathing right? Because they've got a lot of painkillers in them and it can depress their breathing. So oximeters go on, and if it starts to beat, we go over and we're like, hi, let's take some big breaths and breathe, right? And then if they're in real trouble, doctors have already pre-ordered naloxone, Narcan, for us to give to them, because that drug will go in and immediately change the effects, right? That's why you see all those naloxone, Narcan stuff out there for people.
Okay.
Right? So what's happening is our opioid emergency has increased by so much since the pandemic has started. Like, we've got people that work for us training that are still actively working, and in Barrie, St. Thomas, Kitchener-Waterloo region, and some other one, but these are hot spots for opioid use. Even Burlington, my daughter, she's had 3 really good friends, and she's Burlington born, bred, and raised. And in the past 4 years, she's had 3 friends that have died by opioids.
Oh my God. How old's your daughter?
22.
Oh my God. Oh, that's heartbreaking.
So So it's there. It's, right? Like, it's in our backyard. It's in Burlington backyard. It's happening right there. So it's everywhere. And we had some guys on the Barrie, and they'd go out and they'd do 19 overdose calls a night on Saturday night. And sometimes it's the same person, right? So it's complicated disease. It's out there. It's getting worse. People are, people are checking out. They've had enough. This pandemic, we know what the mental health was for people after World War II, and what it's going to be like for the next 4 to 5 years. It's going to be worse than that for us. Mm-hmm. And we have to recognize it. We have to talk about it. And, if we can, I'm going to tell you something. If you've got your mental health first aid training, you are going to use that way more than your physical first aid training. You probably use it every day. Use it on yourself.
I love it. So can somebody call you, Sue, and say, Sue, I want to take this course with you?
They can.
Like, anybody. You don't have to be a firefighter or a police officer. Anybody can do it.
Anybody. Absolutely. Anybody can. He's like, you want to know? We gotcha.
So great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So all I need to do then is put the website up for people.
Yeah, we'll put the website out, and I'll even give you my cell number so you can even text me if you're a texter, because I understand a lot of kids and young adults like texting rather than like email. I look at my daughters, I'm like, can you email me? And they're like, I'll just text your mom. So I'll give you that. And they can reach me any way that they want. I will give you everything to send. Even if you just have questions, even if whatever, we'll get you what you need. And I'm going to send you all that resources to pull up so that people can have that too.
Amazing. I love it. I think we should all be taking this course.
I think we should. I believe that. I do. I really, really do. And Monica, we're gonna get you out on one. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I'm gonna make
I'm in.
On one. Yep.
I'm totally in. Oh my gosh, this has been amazing. I feel like we talked for 5 minutes, but we covered we covered so much. This is great. You've been so generous with all your information and your.
Are you kidding? Listen, I want to say this, okay? And I mean this to everybody. I mean this to you, and I mean this to everybody that's listening. Don't forget your worth.
Yeah.
Don't forget. I don't care where you are right now in your mental health. You are worth it. It's that simple. It is.
You know what's so perfect is when you said that. It's like you gave us a loving slap in the face, and Rebel gave you an actual poop on your lap. It's so true. Don't forget your worth. And you know, I this is a whole lot. Maybe we need to have a Sue part 2, but also like if you don't know what you're worth,
how to find it.
Find it, man. Yeah.
And you got to find your passion first.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right. Rebel knows. Is it a her or a him?
Her. They're her. Oh yeah. We make them work. We get our eggs.
Okay. Yes, of course. She's a chicken. Oh my gosh. And the hairdo.
Oh yeah.
Rebel knows her worth. She looks like she gets it early and styles it.
She does. She does. She kind of likes the band Kiss.
That's so great. Oh gosh. Yep. Sue, thank you so much. Thank you for all your time today.
I can't thank you enough for, first of all, even thinking about me to come on here. But just to give the openness to mental health. Yeah. Really, really. And there's help out there, and you're not alone. Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, I'm so happy. We got a long way to go, baby.
Oh, we do. We do, but I'm up for it.
Okay. All right, I'm going to put you in the virtual back room there.
We're going in. We're going in, Rebel.
Oh, thank you guys so much for joining. That was so educational. I hope you enjoyed the conversation, and I'll be sure to get all the information up here for you to contact Sue if you want to and learn more about mental health and get your mental health first aid. I think it's a great idea for all of us to have it. And just enjoy the rest of your day. And Sue is right. Know your worth and take time for you, and do that 20 minutes whenever you can, just to do something you really, really enjoy. Go and check out our sponsor, brendabadome.com. Grab yourself some nice clothes for spring. Check out glamjewels.com to get your coordinating jewels, of course, and keep on showing the world your sparkle. You are so awesome, and I really appreciate you being on today. We'll see you again next time. Oh, and if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, please. See you next time. Bye.